And I had an opportunity. I've always been called to maybe a little creative side, an opportunity to get involved with a company in a restructuring and develop some new technology and some novel chemistry, and with the vision ultimately of creating a truly green product. A big company restructured, and they said, "Scott, do you want to buy this?" And so at the time, a lot of people would say no, and I decided to pledge every asset I have, assume $20 million in unsecured debt, and created a new company at the same time, which was Low Carbon Impact. And that's how I formed the predecessor company that ultimately led to this environmental product called OPFLEX. Well, I had an industrial plastics business, and recycling was coming up early on in 98 through 2001. And I get this thing about words mean things, and you hear, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. It's not about politics. It's whatever side of the aisle you're on. It's just, we need more in this country. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. So I came up with a concept and actually trademarked LCI, Low Carbon Impact. For example, a yoga mat. If you're gonna go buy a 15-pound yoga mat that's produced in Asia with child labor, put together with glue that's toxic, when you could buy a 2-pound yoga mat on a product that uses 30% less energy, does not involve child labor, and doesn't have to go to the landfill. That was my initial concept. And then that played out through a chain of events, so I created a company with the vision of low carbon impact all the way through. Yeah. So if you're gonna use 10 times the energy and make something, quote, recyclable, that's not walking the walk. Yeah. That may suffice initially. Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, they get in front of people and they connect, and they walk, and they can talk the technology, they can settle on the price, and they don't hide behind a board of directors, and they don't hide behind bureaucracy. I think it's the inherent passion they have, and the funny thing is that when you are passionate, those that believe in you say you're passionate, but those that don't call you crazy. So there's really no difference between being passionate and crazy with what I've experienced and what I see in the two of them and what I admire. And when you're passionate, you believe in something so much that you sacrifice everything in your life. I have sacrificed everything I have, and I will not give up, and failure is not an option. And I think that's common, and what I admire and I see is that you just put blinders on. You see something that no one else sees, and you just won't give up. I love it when somebody tells me I can't do something. Don't go on that Coast Guard buoy. They had Coast Guard jets circling me. I'm told it's a fine, and I keep saying, joking, President Obama can fine me. I point to the State of the Union address. He talks about green business, green technology, employment for veterans. I can answer all those with OPFLEX as a prime example. So I'll be happy to pay my fine. What we call that mop or that snare boom is a direct result of the human interaction with the fishermen, and the fact that for all these years, oil spills happen all the time, round booms are wrong. It's all about surface area. Round booms or cylinder designs, they adsorb, coat the surface. It's all, you need to maximize the surface area. If you want to clean the water, you got to expose the most surface area as quickly as possible, hence the design of that mop with all those scraggly tentacles floating around.
I'm an optimist, not a pessimist, but you have to be realistic if we're going to improve this country. And this morning I covered, I think this country peaked with the World War II generation. You did what you said, you didn't need a bunch of lawyers. It was just human interaction. That ties into my experience in golf and what I've seen. But with that being said, we have to hold our government accountable. We don't need to complain about the politicians, we put them in power. And what we have to do is more demand transparency, and I can give you concrete examples.
What really got my attention was when I got a phone call from BP and they said, "Scott, your product works better than anybody else. We underestimated the politics with the contractors. If you deploy your centrifuging, you will stop the filling of the landfills, and you're going to take $40,000 a day of revenue away, and you're going to take too much oil out of the water." Saying, hey, here I was I being naive? No. I don't think so. I was doing what I saw. Everyone wanted to recycle and reuse the product, and there were those very good people and ethical people at BP that absolutely wanted that. And the greatest problem was I actually did what I said and set up a centrifuging process that would have prevented all those white adsorbent booms from going to the landfill. And that's when I'm like, wow. Well, I went down for 2 days, and I ended up making a video with an iPhone in a marsh. And I charter a boat, never been to Venice, because no one would respond to emails. We're too busy, we can't open the attachments. Your idea, and I said I had a product. So I looked at a lot of people and said, I'm going to the Gulf. I rented a car, punched in, and chartered a boat where the captain said, 52,000 people before you, Scott. Everyone has a magic wand. I said, well, I think my product really works. Just take me to the marsh. And the captain says, you know what, 52,000 people before you, I'm happy to take your money. And I said, take me to the oil. So I just had my iPhone with me. I threw him my iPhone and said, and I almost didn't bring it. And I started scrubbing the marsh. He made a video and a picture. He turned white as a ghost when it sucked up all the oil and repelled the water. So meanwhile, I'm dealing with BP, and then there's one guy sitting at a command center, David Kennard, who we actually became good friends. He said, I'm driving away from Venice. On my way back, I get a phone call. Scott Smith, are you Scott Smith? And I say, yes. I saw your video. Can you come to the Venice, Louisiana Command Center? And David Kennard starts jumping up and down. And in the USA Today article, which he initiated, he had this in his British accent. He'd say, this guy is not a whack job. He's screaming up and down, we're gonna have to burn the marshes if we don't use his product. And he gets me approved as the only person, I'm told, that got to the Joint Unified Command Center in Robert, Louisiana, where I sit down and I got an order on the spot because I took my product to the marsh. It's not about, and again, and so I'd think about this, and then I started to meet the fishermen. They'd come up with me and I took their ideas, and I actually improved the OPFLEX design. Our original boom was square, and we developed about surface area and mops. So then I got invited, and I lived in a trailer with an incredible fisherman and his wife. And I'd be ready to give up at times there too, because this whole thing I was up against. And here are two people that lost everything in the hurricane, that had a trailer, that were motivating me, and it was incredibly humbling, saying, Scott, you can't give up, we need you. But you know what, I just need to keep getting back out there in listening to these oil spill workers. And then I remember the day I met a guy, an oil spill cleanup worker, here, and a guy that had cancer and took vacation from the oil spill cleanup, wouldn't let the Coast Guard kids get in the way of the oil, because it can cause virtually instant cancer. And here's a guy working and throwing me the Tyvek suit, and he said, you know what, you're from Harvard, you're from Yankee carpetbagger, and we ended up bonding, and he did everything in his power, and I put the Tyvek suit on, 120-degree heat, went into the oil, and then the next day he goes, you know, I really apologize for giving you a hard time. I've just seen 100,000 people come here, and they're just a bunch of Yankee carpetbaggers, and they're not willing to go out and listen to us. And I said, no, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad. And we laugh about it now. What they need help with, and it's amazing, the fishermen, they don't want charity and they don't want handouts. They just want their environment back. They want clean water. And that drives my passion. They want their water cleaned up. They don't want anything for free. They want their life back. Being in the Gulf, somebody would look at me, because you don't appreciate, they saw so many people that would qualify as crazy according to them.
Let alone with Harvard.
They literally want to spread magic pellets and wave a wand, and that may work on the. And I used to say my lab is the actual Gulf of Mexico. If you want to come see a demo, I'm not coming to your TV studio. And what you do is when you go, it's fun for me because you go in the water and there's the oil everywhere. You go jump. They see me jump. I'm like, yeah, this guy's not going to jump in. You jump in the water and then you come out with a mop in 12 minutes. That's full of 60 pounds of oil, sucking everything out of the water. And I live on Cape Cod. Right now I'm involved in serious oil contamination in Falmouth Harbor, and working on some new designs. We're working on some new designs to deal with that. I just kind of go to a place and assess the situation. And I'm getting enough phone calls from enough people all over the world now. There's plenty of challenges, and clean water is a very serious issue, which I realized in China. It doesn't matter what our differences are as a country, as a nation, clean water is a major threat. And industrial wastewater from everyday societal living creates the equivalent of the Gulf oil spill every year, 180 million gallons a year in stormwater. And we have a very simple solution that can be part of a bigger solution to clean the water. I guess the way that you would define yourself is what would you inscribe on your tombstone? I would just say that I will never back down from my principle. If I believe something in my heart, never back down, no matter what the consequences. Follow my heart and believe in my principles, compromise on nothing, and die trying.